Hello and welcome to Spring Commander Forged Alliance. We're in the Grandmaster's Cup round of 16 where we got Adjuton and Deja-Vu going Seraphim versus Seraphim, quite interestingly. So, in case you don't know this tourney, it's a lot like the World Cup in soccer. We are past the group stage. We are now in the knockout stage, and each set of games is one player chooses a game, another player chooses a game, and if it's a draw afterwards, they're going to play on pizza. I don't know, not my favorite map, but that's what Stefan chose. Big thanks to him for organizing this whole thing. And Deja-Vu, first land looks like second air from Deja. Adjuton, I can't believe he's not playing Aeon, but Aeon could be suicide here. Neither player, actually, Adjuton just rushing to the middle, interesting. So he's very different styles here. Deja is going to build some units while Adjutant is going to run into mid. I'm not actually sure who chose this map, who's going to choose the next one. But both these players, Adjutant has been in the top 10 ever since we had this new patch. He was always the best Aeon player. Now that Aeon is quite a bit better, especially with the Aeon Micro. He's moved up. Deja, somewhere in the top 50. Probably much better than that. I'm not sure if he's somebody's Smurf, but he did make it through the group stage. Pretty good player. And the other games, actually, there are 7 others. Hopefully some of them get casted. I'm definitely not going to cast most of them. There's going to be some great matchups, like TA versus Voodoo and Crazed versus Napalm. Some really good players still in this tourney. 2 players we're missing is Lo and Lucian, but they'll be watching. So very interestingly, nearly a mirror situation here. A little faster for Adjutant, and I'm actually kind of against raiding on this map unless it's a little later and you take over a whole area, because nobody's going to be sending engineers to grab mass extractors. I mean, we see one expending engineer. You have so much reclaim that the mass that you're going to get from reclaim from those early mexes doesn't really count for too much. And here it looks like a great victory. Celine and Tham, 1 kill each up on top. Let's see if we get a similar situation. So far, well, that was a very even battle. Looks like neither player really micro. They just sort of ran at each other. And there at the very end, Adjutant gets the victory. So both early battles go to Adjutant. We do see, slows down, air factory and a bomber coming out after interceptor. There's still no air from Adjutant. So even though Deja-Vu has lost both the initial battles, he does have air. See if he can do with it. And also Adjutant's ACU, quite aggressive to the mid. I'm quite surprised that Adjutant is building mask extractors instead of like a point defense or reclamation. And always on maps that have so much reclaim, power production becomes critical. So how many engineers you put on power usually determines how far ahead you're in the economy. And here 3 engineers for Adjutant. We're seeing only 2 for Deja-Vu, and Deja-Vu is a little bit ahead at this point, but I think that is going to catch up to him, especially that Adjutant has been to the middle a little earlier. And that was a successful bomb. That was great. That's going to stop the factory production. So Adjutant needs to get some other engineers making something else, making more land factories, otherwise he is in trouble. Let's see this bomber. Oh, this... That was just horrible. That was another 3 engineers. We're seeing completely flak now from Adjutant. He is in quite a bit of trouble. And now in the middle, Deja-Vu coming in. Fairly even numbers, but of course the production is not all flak. Adjutant might think about doing a draw here. He is not in a very good shape, but Deja-Vu is going to retreat, and that's going to be a nice bomb. Good dodge from Adjutant. Doesn't look like... Oh, there's another 3 dead engineers. So a total of 8 engineers killed. And yet another bomber coming in from Deja-Vu. So losing 8 engineers is huge. Just so much build capacity and more bombers on the way. The pressure is just going to continue. With Deja, he's going to get a lot more land factories soon. His production is still going. He's now ahead in power. And once he grabs middle and gets more land factories, more tanks, it's basically over. It's a nice interceptor here, just being used as a scout from Deja. Deja just on a patrol order in the middle, grabbing a better reclaim. We can check the reclaim between these two players. 5,000, close to 5,000 from Deja-Vu. Adjuton, only 2,200, and that's exactly because he doesn't have too many engineers to do the reclaim. Although this engineer, a bomb from Deja-Vu would be great if you could take that out. I'm sure that's what's keeping... well, actually, no, Adjuton, quite a bit of mass in the bank. So Adjuton hasn't been able to use too much mass. Guess not surprisingly. Nice placement on the radar. You probably want to get another one if you're Deja. And now you can see the economy. The type of gap in terms of power is very significant. Now I think here if Deja put a couple more engineers on a power spam, would really help him out. Finally, more land factories for Adjuton. I gotta say, here after 7 minutes, a bit disappointing from Deja-Vu. He looked very much ahead, but he looks like he didn't build too many engineers. He mostly built the tanks. Now these tanks are going to get some victories, but let's see how permanent that is up on top. Actually, this could be significant. They can cut off the map and grab map control, although this group of units here from Adjuton still in play and are going to be denying. So actually quite even. Looking at this, in terms of power, Adjuton has nearly caught up. So he's got 3 engineers in the power spam. In terms of, it looks like Adjuton going for an upgrade. This could be dangerous in terms of power. Yeah, he's totally power stalling now. But he must be, I mean, he's actually in much better shape than probably he thinks, but he's got to be thinking he's got to do something drastic. Looks like it is the gun. He's halfway through. And that power stall isn't too bad. And amazingly, Adjuton actually is now ahead in terms of power. And looks like tech to air now from Deja-Vu. So tech to air versus gun. I think tech to air is probably a little better unless Adjuton can scout it, and he can't because he still has not made any air. So a couple gunships there from Deja-Vu would be nice. And I think in the patch they did fix the Tech 2 bomber from Seraphim. Still have yet to see how effective that is. It should be very effective. 1,000 damage per shot. And actually Tech 2 land, this is something that I missed from Deja-Vu. And Tech 2 land is going to be very good. There's actually already multiple Tech 2 factories. We got the HQ and we got some supporting. But of course, against the gunned ACU, on such a small map, Tech 2 might not be the best choice. But of course, Tech 2 engineers and Tech 2 point defense creep will be nice. But Deja kind of spreading out his resources very thin here. He's going both Tech 2 air and Tech 2 land at the same time. And he's getting some Tech 2 point defenses, although, I mean, he's had plenty of mass, 11,000 reclaimed, 600 powers, got enough for what he's doing. Adjutant should be done. Yeah, he's got the gun. And he's going to go into the great unknown. He has no idea what's up ahead. I think that Tech 2 point defense from Deja-Vu is going to be very effective. And now he's going to see a whole bunch of units, but here comes the overcharges.
Commander under attack.
Actually, Adjutant could be in quite a bit of trouble here. Yet another overcharge. Gotta say, unless this Tech to air does something great, and it is making Tech to gunships. Yeah, those are going to be a game ender unless we see Tech to land or a whole bunch of air or something. As long as Adjutant keeps his ACU up in the middle, which he has to stop the Tech 2 from taking over, he is in a position to lose. And that's basically what happens when you completely neglect air. You have no idea what's coming. And here come the gunships. Looks like Deja-Vu not having too much patience. He's not going to wait till he has a whole bunch. He's going to go with 2. And 2 gunships actually could be denied by a whole bunch of Tech 1 flak. I would imagine all these factories being switched to Tech 1 flak. We do see a whole bunch here. And will Adjutant be able to... Looks like Adjutant just saying, whatever, I'm going to push. And maybe he's going to be choosing the next map. I think the rules are that the player with the lower score chooses the first one, so it would have been Deja. So Deja goes up ahead against Adjuton. Let's see what happens in game 2. Hello and welcome to game 2. And I'm assuming this one was chosen by Adjuton. We got open palms. I got a chance to play Adjuton and open palms once. I don't believe I was Aeon and he was, and probably wouldn't have mattered. It's one of his better maps, in my opinion. Deja also going with Aeon. Aeon, I think, is the most popular faction right now. Very strong tech 2. Of course, the Auroras at tech 1 now that you can actually micro them. Absolutely dominate. Cybern used to be kind of the favorite, but now Cybern just can't do much. At tech 1, I think it's still really good against Seraphim and EF, but against Aeon, there's just not much chance. Yeah, and of course, one of the biggest buffs, I think, that happened, besides the Aurora, is the Obsidian, even though the buff was slightly small. But I believe this was said on the forums. The big buff to it wasn't the fact that it was actually made slightly better. It's the fact now we're an NG mod, and Obsidian acts a lot like the Percy. It is by far the most dominant Tech 2 versus Tech 2 unit, and still stays pretty relevant in the Tech 3 stage. It's got something like 480 damage per shot, and you pay 360 mass, and it's about 3,000 health. So in terms of mass cost, it's nearly as good as a Tech 3 unit. The thing that it has going against it, of course, is short range, relatively slow, actually quite slow, and very slow fire rate. But going up against all the other Tech 2 in the game, it's quite good. I've actually seen the Mongoose and as I'm talking here, we're seeing some early flares coming out from Deja-Vu. It's going to work both as a scout and as an aggressive unit. And Aurora going up for defense. Adjuton actually running up to the Hydra. And this could be actually early kill here for Deja. Oh, nope, didn't happen. But did fire off a couple shots at that engineer. It looks like this can be similar to a voodoo build here. Only one engineer on the Hydra, that's never a good thing. Takes such a long time to build. But back to whatever I was saying. The Hoplite and the Mongoose, I think, are really quite weak right now. Against Aeon, actually I think the Aurora with the nice micro, they can almost compete. And even if you get a whole bunch of Hoplites later on at Tech 3, they get dominated. And with no shields, the Mongoose also is kind of the weaker version of the Hoplite, but you get the shields. And another thing I've seen, although I could be wrong here, I don't actually get to see too many games, the shields haven't really been used, the Tech 2 shields, even though I think for Aeon they have. We might actually see some shields here. And here comes a bomber from Adjuton. Nice scout. It's going to come up ahead. These guys will be two good engineers to kill. So this could be critical here. If Adjuton can pop a couple engineers on this pass, that's going to be a raider as well. Complete miss. Great micro. That was excellent defense from Deja there. Yeah, that is one of the most important things that is, definitely the most important thing has happened so far here in a little under 4 minutes. Looks like a whole bunch of land factors from Deja. Deja not moving out. That is a big difference. You can see Adjuton is way up ahead in the field. Very strong unit. This is basically going to be Adjuton's territory, and if Adjuton can grab some of the other expansions, he's going to be quite a bit ahead in terms of mass production. He already is. Although it looks like air control is going to go to Deja in an ANA versus AIM battle. Air control is critical. Yeah, now we're going to see Adjuton here. Much faster expansion. These are 6 extra mass extractors that Deja-Vu does not have. And that's a huge difference. Here come some bombers though from Deja. And some flak actually coming out from Adjuton, feeling that he's lost the air. Although it is still quite even. Looks like Deja is going to move out to the right with his ACUs. So far sitting on, looks like 4 land factors, a couple more planned. And a few more land factors, looks like 1 more. And this air battle looks like it's going to be once again won by Deja. Where there's some bombers here, it looks like a couple engineers were killed. And this is something that I think should be done all the time. ACU moving to the side, just grabbing this easily. Although now the ACU for Adjuton is a bit out of position, and we see that scout for Deja. He definitely sees that. He should have seen that. And if Deja actually had a whole bunch of units, this would be a nice time to push right through this big hole. But Deja does not have too many units, so he's now falling quite a bit behind. Still staying even in terms of power production, but in terms of land, in terms of mass production, quite a bit behind. And if Adjuton did a little bit of scouting here, it is one different. Deja has seen a lot more of the map than and another thing I would actually see here coming up minute 6, how slow Aeon is. If we had a Cybern game here at minute 6, we would have massive battles already going on, but the Aurora is just a little slow. Trying to sneak behind. And actually this Aurora had 4 kills, almost got the 5th. And looking at the air production, looks like we got 1 engineer assisting. And our Adjutant pulling away in the power game. You can see he's got really nice, just a little bit of excess, actually not too much. This is where you can use the engineer's assistant in factory to regulate this. And he does appear to have 1 air, so now would be the time for him to do a little bit of scouting. He hasn't done too much. And we do see he's going to grab this top position. And Deja, yeah, he's so slow at expanding. He's completely given up this position. Adjutant hasn't really raided too much, but I think once he does the scouting, he's going to start pushing. And you can see major mass problems. Open Palms is the complete opposite of the previous map, where on the previous map you can just feed off the reclaim, although here quite a bit of reclaim as well. You can see 1400 so far. On Open Palms you got to expand and grab the mass extractors. And the radar coverage is really not very good for Deja-Vu. Adjutant, he's got these 2 big raiders. Be nice to see something in the middle. And here comes a pretty big force from Adjutant moving in, also grabbing some artillery in case we see some point defenses. But it almost it seems as if Adjutant decided not to even go for this expansion. So if your strategy involves giving up map control, you got to do something special. And it doesn't look like it's really happening. He's making transport, which is going to be denied by the interceptors, which have seen it. Point defense, there is some artillery for Adjutant. So Deja-Vu here, I'm actually going to speed this up, is in a position to lose his only expansion. There's a bunch of units here in the back, and there's a free shot to go there if you're Adjutant. Yeah, at +2 we can actually see the Auroras are moving. It's almost like a siren game. Now bombers coming out, Adjutant with air control, he's not gonna waste it. Imagine, yeah, this is not gonna be good for these Auroras. That was 8 kills in 1 pass. We're also seeing Tech 2 land, so let's see if this Tech 2 land from Deja-Vu can do something. Because now he is really almost getting doubled on mass production. And the shield. Deja-Vu going up the middle with the ACU. We're also seeing Tech 2 land, a whole bunch of blazes. I don't really understand the point of making the blaze. I guess you make it much faster than the Obsidian, but it's so much weaker. It does have a better fire rate. But I think the Aurora is just about as good as the Blaze. I mean, the amount of Auroras you can get for the cost of the Blaze. Maybe I'm completely wrong here. Maybe I should think about making a few of those. Shouldn't question Adjutant when it comes to Aeon, but Adjutant total map control has taken the sides. So I think this is moving toward game 3 on pizza, unless Deja-Vu can pull off something crazy. We're not seeing... well, he's going Tech 3 land. So Deja-Vu going Tech 3 land on almost no mass. You can see all these Tech 2 mass extractors already, so Adjuton feels like he's very much in control. Deja-Vu with some overcharges. Appears this ACU actually has some upgrades on it. It does have the range. Yeah, it's just got the range, nothing else. And now push, but Adjutant should be able to play defense here. Also some Tech 2 in the ACU. Yeah, this group of units needs to just retreat. And finally some engineers moving out trying to grab this position, but there's going to be some nuisance from the top. Tech 2 push now with the blazes. Nothing to stop them. They're going to probably get here in the back. Although point defense is already constructed with 2 kills. And Deja-Vu here in shambles now. His mass production was almost tripled there for a second. I wouldn't be surprised if we see actually Tech 3 land on multiple Tech 2 power. So with that much power, Tech 2 air might be a possibility, but looks like all the mass going in Tech 3 land. So both the Aeon players rushing Tech 3 land. And now it's completed, and here come the Harbies. But let's see if Adjutant actually knew about this. Yeah, he definitely knows there's a Tech 3 factory there. He's got his own. And he's going to be making Harbies a lot faster. Much more healthy numbers there for Adjutant. But, of course, you never know. Now, yeah, this is a successful push. I think this is enough to kill. This is a whole bunch of point defenses. 750 mass invested in defending the very back of the base. This is the cost of a Harby right here. Those 3 Tech 1 point defenses. Deja-Vu is going to attempt to play defense. And given how much Deja-Vu has to use ACU, I think mercies are a very real possibility. Looks like Adjutant decided not to bother with those point defenses. Yeah, see total air control, so Adjutant knows exactly where that ACU is. Yep, here comes Tech 3 air. Swift winds, no mercies yet. And now Tech 3 is gonna make its appearance, and it's gonna be from Adjutant. And nothing to stop the Harbies. And now it's an emergency point defense. It's quite a bit ahead there. Deja-Vu with a couple overcharges, a couple Harbies in support. Total disaster up on top. And I think once Deja-Vu pulls away from his base here, it's gonna be easy move from Adjutant directly into Deja-Vu's base. There's 3 Harbies there. They're against 2. Another one coming out. These Harbies gotta be, yeah, once those die, it's gonna be bad. More Harbies coming in. And now Deja-Vu has left his base undefended. 1 Harby goes down for Adjutant, but it's still 3 versus 2. 1 Harby left. Another one just constructed here by Deja-Vu, but now we're seeing damage being done to the power production. And there goes the Tech 2 power generator. Looks like 1 Harby still alive here, 5 kills. It is, this Harby will kill most likely all the units. Actually, no, there's... Yep, this Harby also not paying attention. But the damage has been done. 2 Harbies alive, and I'm not really paying attention. Deja-Vu making a good push against the position of Adjutant here, but Adjutant total Tech 2 air control, now shields Tech 2, Tech 3 land. And Adjutant 43 kills. Looks like the Harbies are targeted. And Deja-Vu dies very quickly. So 1-1, we're gonna move on to pizza. We're now in game 3 of this round of 16 between Adjutant and Deja-Vu. So whoever wins this moves on. We're on pizza. And here we got the 6 slices. Looks like in the past they used to start here across, but this is almost vertical. Deja-Vu looks like it's going to be Aeon versus Seraphim. Previous one was Aeon on Aeon. The first one was Seraphim on Seraphim. Of course, Deja winning the first, Adjuton winning the second. Looks like Adjuton playing its second air was 7 PGM, pretty standard. Pizza, of course, a map, very spread out mask extractors. There is quite a bit of reclaim you want to get. You can go into the crust and make point defenses, and it's really all about map control. And Navy, of course, later on becomes very good. And this is one of the reasons to pick Seraphim over Aeon if it goes into a Tech 2 Navy. Much better Navy, plus the cruiser will absolutely dominate for Seraphim. But this is going to be really a game of grabbing map control, grabbing as many slices as possible. And let's say early on, Aeon does have an advantage with Aurora to a certain degree. And then later on, a Tech 2 Air, I think also, with the Swift Winds and the gunships, a place where you can't really spread out your Tech 2 flak. These gunships are quite powerful. So imagine that will make a play for Adjuton. But 4 mask extractors at the starting position. Then it's another 6, so total of 10 mask extractors per slice. There is a couple nice chunks of rock here at these crossings. In the middle, not much happening there except maybe making a navy. Cruise missiles can reach across, so that sometimes is a good idea, but here I'm actually going to speed this up even more. It's really going to be a question of who grabs which slice, what are the different strategies for grabbing those. Of course, the simplest is just walking across, building some factories. You might see some drops. This is where scouting and bombers and interceptors become very important. And with Auroras, of course, you can build a whole bunch of Auroras somewhere near the front, bunch of factories. Just start putting them in different places. This is where you, at the moment when you get engineers on a different slice or an expansion, anti-air and the point defense become very critical. And this is where Seraphim might actually have a slight advantage because they do have the floating arty, and they might be able to counter those point defenses. And here comes an Aurora from Adjuton. Should be scouted. Looks like it's just going to make its way completely across. Interceptors going in both directions. You can see the move orders all over the place. Actually, 2 groups here of Auroras. It looks like 2 engineers on the power span from Adjuton. Deja-Vu quite a bit ahead in terms of power. And here comes a transport which has been scouted, and this is huge. This could be actually the difference in this game. If you can get an early transport, sneak it past your enemy. But it doesn't look like... Yeah, it looks like Deja-Vu is not happy. And he is using the name of the map, one of the more popular maps. Well, I guess now it's back on the ladder, and I guess it's means something really good in Finnish. But not too many people speak that language, so not many people are offended, so it's okay. It looks like early Navy from Deja-Vu. Kind of needs to do that because of the Aurora. It looks like it's a new transport. So multiple transports. Those are pretty expensive early on. In terms of power, completely even. And a transport, aggressive transport from Adjuton. He's transporting the two slices that are adjacent to Deja-Vu. You can see a bomber and a scout. He's going to try to prevent any expansion. So Deja-Vu will attempt to grab all 5 slices besides the one that Deja-Vu's on. And if he can do that, sorry, it's Adjuton's trying to do that, and that was a successful drop, and he's moving back, and this bomber is going to really help out. So great use of drops plus bombers. This bomber is going to deny any production. Point defense already up, so that factory is just going to be nice to reclaim for Adjuton. On the other side, we can almost say this game is over. Adjuton is everywhere. He's got engineered, well, actually he's not on this slide yet, so still a possibility for Deja-Vu. Deja-Vu is upgrading a little bit, but it's going to be very difficult to upgrade enough to catch up to map control. But here it looks like some counter bombers from Deja-Vu. This is where once you get your expansion, nice to get a point defense and an anti-air. I think that was some friendly fire there from those bombers. And it looks like this interceptor needs to do his job. It's kind of sad. But 2 transports going in this position. We're seeing Navy. Should be total air control for Adjuton plus a bomber standing by. But it looks like a conservative drop across. You might as well just not use a drop and just walk some engineers over there. But it is going to be a drop. Perhaps some tech to air. Yeah, tech to air from Deja-Vu. He used tech to air to win game 1. Tech to air with gunships are going to be very powerful. But of course, all that Adjuton has to do is make a bunch of swift ones, and he is ahead on power, and I imagine he will be going tech 2 here pretty soon. You gotta, on a map this big where power is important, getting to tech 2 power generators is a big advantage, and the obvious move is tech 2 air. With Seraphim, perhaps tech 2 Navy might be the more, well, tech 2 air is always good, but tech 2 Navy for Seraphim would be the one weapon that Deja-Vu has that Adjuton doesn't. But Adjuton now on 4.5 slices, you can almost say 4.9 slices here. And here it is, the big mass advantage for Adjuton, and it's now going to be just a slow death unless Deja-Vu comes up with something crazy. We're also seeing a little bit of upgrading from Deja-Vu. And a big row of power. Be nice to put some bombs on that. Tech to power coming up for Deja-Vu. Deja-Vu, interceptors, scouts. Whole bunch of units just standing by. Looks like some attempts to grab the left slice from Deja-Vu, but Auroras are on the case. You can see a lot of scouting. And now battle. And here, this is where Auroras are going to dominate the Tech 1 stage. Aeon is very dominant here. This is a lot of Tech 1 factories, all making submarines. Because the obvious unit for Deja-Vu, of course, is the frigate against the Aurora. And the submarines for Seraphim are not very strong. You see 400 health versus 550, and in these submarine games, that's a big difference. So far, all these factories, all these expanding factories for Deja-Vu have just been nice reclaim for Adjuton. Here we're at minute 14, but playing this at +3. You can see this map is frustrating. Tech 2 Navy now, a destroyer from Adjuton. And this destroyer I really hate, but some people like it. It's good for hitting stationary targets or noobs who do not know to move their units. So Tech 2 flak here is going to get killed by a bunch of Auroras and Tech 2 mass extractors. So the main slice here from Deja-Vu under threat. But people who are willing to micro, especially the Seraphim destroyer, can just dodge everything. And then it's impossible to dodge the Seraphim destroyer, of course, with the beamed weapon. So 1v1, even though it's 750 health versus 690, so 600 difference. And it looks like a big drop here from Deja-Vu. There is artillery and tanks, and this could actually be quite successful. So Deja-Vu making a pretty good play for this island. And we might see a whole bunch of submarines versus that destroyer. Actually, these submarines might be more effective than these multiple destroyers from Adjuton. So Adjuton putting a lot of build capacity on Navy, popping out destroyers left and right. And of course, with Aeon, actually, once you get a couple of those destroyers shooting the same target, it becomes very difficult to dodge. But when they're singular 1 or 2 destroyers, they're not that difficult to dodge. And actually, we're going to see, yep, Tech 1 subs dominating the destroyer. And in terms of mass, each one of these, I believe, about 400 mass. So you need about 5 submarines. In terms of mass, costs 1 destroyer, but this is quite a bit more. And looks like the Navy is going to be denied. Adjuton will lose the possibility to get his best weapon. He's got another destroyer coming out now. This is where a stationary torpedo launcher would be nice. Actually, it would be a nice reclaim if Deja-Vu were to win that. But yeah, a whole bunch of Auroras also moving in to take care of any problems. Looks like this was taken care of. A whole bunch of Auroras came home. 3 kills on a couple of these point defenses. Yeah, unfortunate. Looked good for a while, and yeah, these engineers are gonna die. And now 5 destroyers. Might even see some cruisers now, just straight up destroyers. And one thing that this destroyer does have going for it is the range. It looks like it's a whole bunch of torpedo bombers, Seraphim torpedo bombers for Deja-Vu. And this could be a snipe for Adjuton's ACU. Could be an interesting idea, but with all these swift winds in the middle, it could be very difficult to pull off. It'll take Adjuton leaving for a while, going to make breakfast or something along those lines, and then maybe Deja-Vu can pull that off. Oh, this is interesting. I almost missed it. Deja-Vu, a secret base. Looks like Adjuton did not see that. He has no idea that's there. That is always a possibility on pizza. You always want to get radar here in the back. 3 cruise missiles. I'm actually making power generators here in the back. Not a time you want to have a power search. Some tech to flak. And actually an HQ. That was the first tech to land factory for Deja-Vu. So Deja-Vu, total disaster. Looks like he's going to lose air control. These torpedo bombers moving out of the way. And the thing about these missiles, they're not in range of Adjuton's ACU if it was spotted. And I think Deja-Vu probably was hoping they would be able to spot the ACU and then kill it. Now we're actually seeing Tech 3 air, 1 Tech 3 power. Adjuton getting some really expensive upgrade. I'm assuming it's shield. Okay, that is gonna make it very safe. Okay, so that's impossible. So this game's done. Gonna have Adjuton move on, and who he's gonna play is still undecided. I'm assuming in round of 8 it's gonna be random. But in round of 8 there's gonna be some extremely good players. Whoever makes it. Round 16, very good players, but it is gonna be the top players. Players like Zoc and Voodoo and Crazed. I think it's going to be very difficult for Adjuton. But it would be really nice to see him continue pushing the Aeon ahead. Going for Tech 3 Navy. He's got restores. And it was all about those early drops that he pulled off. Game was basically over, a formality. It was some nice attempts from Deja-Vu. He was going for something crazy here, but all that didn't really matter. Looks like Adjuton is going to build another secret base, maybe a little closer. But now that ACU is shielded, it's not going to happen. Yeah, it looks like the last destroyer is going to die. It's going to go underwater. It's going to die underwater. Strat bombers. Deja-Vu sitting under a bunch of Seraphim shields, surviving. Let's see, it's only 3 missiles, so 1 volley will do nothing against Adjuton. Adjuton getting a missile ship, and I guess at Tech 3 Navy, Aeon do have some possibilities. So here come the Strat bombers. First pass kills the shields. Second pass should okay, what the heck are they hitting? These Seraphim shields are so strong. But now Deja-Vu taking some hits. And there it is after 28 minutes. Adjuton officially moves forward. And here come the cruise missiles. Finally, but wouldn't have made a difference anyway. And for the last part of this video, I want to throw in a bonus game here between Adjuton and Vortex. I believe Vortex is still in this journey. Pretty sure he is. Don't really remember who he's playing. But he's going to be taking on Adjuton, who we just saw in this one on Williamson's bridge rank game. Old Man River. I believe it's a reference to something that was posted on Alias or Alias. Not really sure how to say it, but at least going first bomber against Aeon, Adjuton, going second land, and going first Aurora, or sorry, Flare. So this Flare should spot this bomber pretty quick, and here we see factory finish here, minute 50. Usually factories take 30 seconds. Each one of these take about 12 seconds, something like that, 10 seconds. There's always that little pause in the beginning of the game, so the actual building starts at like 7 or 8 seconds. So you can't, if you want to do the math in terms of at what point do you expect something to come out. Here, the bomber here, 110, you got to add about 8 seconds to it. The Aurora is nearly across. You can see the Aurora took about 30 seconds to get across. That's another good number to remember. Old Man River, the plane. And Adjuton is gonna be very disappointed with this. First bomb goes at the ACU, then a little sideways action. Just like Lucian, first kill. Here come the flak. That was the Aurora that got killed. Oh, that engineer just dodged. Looks like the bomber is going to switch position. There's some flak moving in this direction. The flare, meanwhile, still alive for Adjutant, although there hasn't been enough engineers to expand. Looks like this engineer is eventually going to expand in that direction. See any more bombers? Looks like straight up engineers from Vortex. Of course, when you go first air, you are vulnerable to flares and the early tanks until the point when it's all flak. It looks like Adjutant not switching it up. He is going to be, I think Adjutant might be in a, no, his eco looks fine. So he did lose a couple of units there, but nothing too major in Aurora and Engineer. Here comes the second pass. You can see the flag, 4 flag, very spread out. There goes a flag. That's how do you create a no-fly zone? You suppress anti-air, and that's exactly what Vortex is doing. So a no-fly zone means that you get to fly and the other player doesn't. Or a euphemism for starting a war. But this war has already begun, so here comes another bomber from Vortex, and looks like finally some land as well. And looks like nothing really happened here with that flare. I missed it. I don't think it actually killed anything. Looks like the ACU with the 1 kill. We're gonna see a ridiculous bomb, yes. 4 kills for that bomber, and just avoids the flak. 19 health, regenerating at 1 a second. Another bomber on the other side. This bomber's way the heck off map there, and yet another anti-air suppression. And Adjutant now, oh yeah, he's got a bunch of units clumped up here. This could be bad. 7 kills, the bonus keeps it alive, and the second bomb to clean up the Aurora. That's a rapid fire gunship there. And on the other side, it's just 1 kill so far on the second bomber. This is the first bomber that was made in the game. The worst thing that can happen to it, I guess, is it'll lose its fuel. It's halfway on its fuel, but and here comes the third bomber. Now we're actually going to see the Auroras that survived that aerial assault get cleaned up by ground troops. Actually, Vortex now, plenty of land factories, is now getting land units. They see you moving out to the side. Some air finally for Adjutant. He needs the air badly. 10 kills. Flying over flag. It looks like finally it's going to die. Another bomber here dropping off. Double bombing. Is that going to be almost a triple bomb? That interceptor prevented a triple bomb. So Vortex absolutely abusing the Seraphim bomber. It really hurts when that happens to you. I would have probably just rage quit already. I don't play around with this type of stuff. Here Aurora plus a couple anti-air guns. Yeah, this is mostly anti-air. These don't shoot. Although you could use them, throw them up ahead. Do have 200 health unlike the Aurora, so let the tanks shoot at those while the Aurora does the damage. An Adjuton here, minute 6, has air control, doesn't really have the map. We can see good expansions on both sides. No expansions whatsoever. There was one here, which is going to be suppressed now by Vortex. And here it looks like still a bunch of reclamation left on the map that should be grabbed by Adjuton. And amazingly, even though so many bombers were made, the power production from Vortex still only 180. I imagine he is now barely alive here, and that's because this actually making an interceptor. How does Vortex do that? And rage quit from Adjuton. That's what I would have done a long time ago. But that is pretty impressive. Never getting over 200 power, making a whole bunch of air. I guess that's what happens when you don't make the air and you don't make too many factories. I think Vortex was quite slow in making those factories. So hopefully people enjoyed this one.